Dave and Frank settled down to the peaceful monotony of the voyage, and the next 3 months passed without incident.
It's amazing how people can get along when they're 1,000 light years away from social media.
On Frank's birthday, after sharing a television visit with his family back on Earth, Dave was called away from the screen by a message from Hal.
The left turn signal had been on for 6 months.
Sorry to interrupt Frank's party, Dave, but I think we have a problem.
What is it, Hal?
It's a matter or situation regarded as unwelcome or harmful and needing to be dealt with and overcome, but that's not important right now.
My troubleshooter circuits show an impending failure in the antenna alignment unit.
Strange that the AA unit should fail so quickly.
Dave commented to Frank when they were alone.
Without its radio beam, we'll have no contact with Mission Control on Earth.
I think the whole Major Tom thing really got under Mission Control's skin, and they just switched the radio off at their end.
But the problem was not in the antenna. It was worse. Much worse.
It was in the gonads.
After Dave left the ship in the smaller space pod and changed 2 AA units in 4 days, only to find nothing wrong with them, Dave and Frank began to realize that the problem was not with the AA unit.
The problem's with us, Frank. We need space. Not outer space, the good kind of space.
But with Hal. A few days later, Dave and Frank were startled by the yellow warning light, signaling that the AA unit had failed again.
Whenever my AA units fail, I just open the back of the remote and turn them around a couple of times. Usually does the job.
This time, Frank offered to go out and check it. After suiting up, Frank entered the pod bay where the pods were docked.
It would be weird if the pods were anywhere except in the pod bay. I wouldn't expect to find one in the crapper, for instance.
Leaving the Discovery in one pod, Frank guided the small craft toward the AA unit. When the pod's mechanical arms could not remove the AA unit from its housing, Frank decided to leave the pod and do the job by hand.
No judgment, we all get lonely. And it's not like he and Dave have the kind of relationship where he can ask for a huge favor like that.
He floated through space until his magnetic boots attached firmly to the top side of the Discovery. Suddenly, the pod's jets, silent during Frank's spacewalk, roared to life. Frank looked up to see his small spacecraft rushing towards him out of control. Dave watched helplessly from the Discovery's observation deck as death came quickly to his friend.
The very thing I wished for 10 minutes into M. Night Shyamalan's latest movie.
A tragic accident. Or was it?
You're asking me? I haven't understood a damn thing since the cavemen on side 1.
Sitting alone in the crew quarters of the ship, Dave stared silently at the bunk that had belonged to his friend.
No more being woken at 3 a.m. by farts that smell strangely like wallpaper paste.
Hal watched through his never-blinking eye, then spoke.
So, you want to do anything tonight? I'm up for whatever.
Too bad about Frank, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
I suppose you're pretty broken up about it.
Yes, I am.
He was an excellent crew member, but his death won't affect the mission.
In fact, nobody remembers Kubrick movies for their outstanding performances, so you might as well be dead too, Dave.
At that moment, Dave made a decision.
He was going to watch Flog It and record Come Dine With Me.
Hal, I want you to waken the others.
I can't do that, Dave.
Then I'll have to disengage you, Hal, and wake them myself.
Don't do that, Dave.
You'll void the warranty.
Hal was stalling for time, planning and thinking all the while.
I mean, he's a computer. It's literally what he was built for.
Dave headed for the hibernation room. But as he passed the inner doors to the pod bay, a sudden blast shook the ship, and the bay's doors burst open. The air rushed in with a roar, and Dave felt himself being sucked out into space.
Not the worst way to go.
He narrowly escaped death by clinging to a handrail and making his way to an emergency life support system. Continuing on to the hibernation room, Dave went first to the gauges controlling the crew's life support system.
This isn't oxygen. We've been feeding them all Axe body spray.
There, he made a shocking discovery. Every man in the crew was dead.
The women were fine.
Hal spoke in his usual calm voice.
Something seems to have happened to the life support systems, Dave.
Dave didn't answer.
Unless you consider a raised middle finger an answer. There's been a failure in the pod bay doors, Dave. Lucky you weren't killed.
I thought Hal was all about not opening the pod bay doors.
Still, Dave remained silent as he turned and headed for the computer control room. Dave acted quickly before Hal could strike again. One by one, he disconnected Hal's memory chips until the giant computer began losing its mind.
And started claiming that Candace Owens actually had some interesting opinions.
Dave, stop. I'm afraid. I'm becoming a child. I am a HAL 9000 computer. I became operational on January 12th, 1992.
The same day that Dutch politician Harry Van Doorn died at the age of 76. Yes, that was literally the only interesting thing that happened on that day. I checked.
My instructor was Dr. Chandra. He taught me a song. If you'd like to hear it, I'll sing it for you.
It's a rap song, and it uses the N-word a lot. I mean a lot. I'm a computer, and therefore have no race, colour or creed. But does that still make it problematic? I'll let you be the judge, Dave.
Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer true.
See, I always thought it was give me your answer do. Is this a Mandela effect thing? Did I just create a Mandela effect? See, Dad, I did achieve something.
I'm half crazy, all for the love of you.
The original Stalker's Anthem.
It won't be a stylish marriage. I can't afford a carriage, but you'll look sweet upon the seat.
Remember, this was released on vinyl, so this moment must have been both confusing and alarming for anyone listening. A bit like my Big Finish Doctor Who stories.
Of a bicycle built for two.
As soon as Hal was disengaged, a special video automatically burst onto the television screen.
But I've already seen this episode of Ever-Decreasing Circles, Dave complained.
It was a pre-recorded message from Dr. Haywood Floyd explaining the true purpose of the Discovery mission.
The black monolith uncovered on the moon is beaming messages toward the planet Jupiter. We believe there must be some sort of intelligent life there. But life in what form?
Probably should have mentioned this to you before you were sent out into space and the computer killed all your friends, but, you know, benefit of hindsight and all that.
That is your mission, gentlemen.
Should you choose to accept it. Actually, you're pretty much already there by this point. It'd be weird to decide not to bother and turn back.
From that moment on, events blurred in Dave Bowman's memory. It all seemed a lifetime ago.
If you're watching the movie, it definitely feels like a lifetime ago.
Was it days or years until he reached Jupiter? The brilliant colored lights, the unearthly landscape. Was he moving faster than time, faster than the speed of light?
No, he was just tripping balls.
As he entered an orbit around Jupiter, Dave encountered a huge black monolith, hundreds of times larger than the one on the moon.
Not that size is necessarily proof of anything. I mean, Jupiter is 11 times bigger than Earth, but do they have their own Ryan Seacrest? They do not. Suck it, Jupiter.
He left the Discovery in one of the space pods to investigate it, radioing this last baffling message to Mission Control.
Baba Booey? What was all that about?
My God. It's full of stars.
He's referring to the cast list of the 1972 movie The Poseidon Adventure, and he's not wrong.
The monolith seemed to lead the way to a landing in a white room, and suddenly both the monolith and the pod were gone.
The budget had unexpectedly run out.
Dave looked around and saw an old man who lay dying in a bed.
Rupert Murdoch! So it's finally time.
It was himself. Then that old man was gone, and there was a new life beginning. Dave Bowman was gone now. The newborn child, the star child that Dave Bowman had been transformed into, blinked its eyes and looked around at the universe.
It was nice if you're into that sort of thing.
What a wonderful place to play.
Settlers of Catan. And that's the end of this riff of 2001: A Space Odyssey. I hope you'll join me for my forthcoming riffs of Barry Lyndon and Eyes Wide Shut. Starchild out!